Don't, please don't look at me like that. What the rancher did next shocked the town. The small town of Red Hollow was quiet most of the time. It was the kind of place where nothing changed quickly. Dust covered the roads, and the wind often carried the smell of dry wood and old earth. People here lived simple lives. Farmers worked in fields, shopkeepers opened their stores early, and everyone usually knew each other's business. Strangers were rare in Red Hollow. And when a stranger did appear, people noticed immediately. On a late afternoon, when the sun was lowering but still hot, something unusual happened at the edge of town. A figure slowly walked down the dusty road. At first it was hard to tell if it was a man or a woman. The person moved weakly, like every step took effort. As the figure came closer, people started to notice it was a young woman. Her clothes were worn out and covered in dust. Her shoes were broken. Her hair was messy, as if she had been traveling for days without rest. Her face showed tiredness, but there was something stronger in her eyes. Fear. Deep, quiet fear. She stopped in the middle of the street. A few people standing outside the general store turned to look at her. A child pulled his mother's hand and hid behind her. A man near the saloon squinted, trying to understand who she was. The woman looked around slowly, as if she was expecting something bad to happen at any moment. Her hands were shaking. She hugged herself tightly, like she was trying to protect herself from the world. Then, in a soft and broken voice, she whispered, Please don't look at me like that." Her words were not loud, but they carried a strange weight. It was not just a request. It sounded like she had been judged before, like she had been hurt by people's eyes more than their hands. But no one moved. People kept staring. In a place like Red Hollow, strangers were always questioned in silence. Who is she? Where did she come from? Why is she here? The woman took a step back, overwhelmed by the attention. Her breathing became faster. She looked like she might run away, but her body was too tired to move quickly. That was when the sound of a horse was heard. Slow and steady hoofbeats came from the far end of the street. A rider was approaching. The man on the horse was Cole Matthews. Everyone in town knew his name. He owned a large ranch outside Red Hollow. He was strong, quiet, and mostly kept to himself. He did not attend town gatherings, and he rarely spoke more than needed. People respected him, but they also found him distant. Cole slowed his horse as he entered the town. His sharp eyes immediately noticed the woman standing in the middle of the street. Something about her caught his attention. It was not just her condition. It was the way she stood, like someone who had nowhere safe to go. Cole stopped his horse. The street was now completely silent. Even the wind felt like it had slowed down. The woman noticed him and looked up. Her eyes were full of worry. For a moment, she looked like she wanted to run, but she couldn't. Cole did not speak at first. He just looked at her calmly, not with judgment, not with anger, just silence. Then he slowly dismounted his horse. The sound of his boots hitting the ground echoed in the quiet street. People watched carefully. No one knew what he would do. In Red Hollow, Cole Matthews never involved himself in other people's troubles. He stayed out of town affairs. That was his nature. But now, something was different. Cole took off his long coat. The movement was slow and careful, not sudden or frightening. Then he walked toward the woman. The crowd held its breath. The woman stepped back slightly, scared of what might happen next. But Cole stopped a few steps away from her. He did not come too close. Instead, he gently placed his coat around her shoulders. It was a simple act, but it changed everything in that moment. The coat was warm. It protected her from the cold wind and from the eyes of the town. Cole spoke softly. "You're safe now." The woman froze, her eyes filled with confusion. No one had spoken to her like that in a long time. No one had offered her safety without asking questions first. The people in the street whispered among themselves. Some were surprised, some were confused. A few were even shocked that Cole Matthews, the silent rancher, had done something like this. Cole did not look at the crowd. He only looked at the woman. After a moment, he gently gestured toward his horse. Without saying anything else, he helped her carefully onto the saddle. She was too tired to resist or ask questions. Her hands held onto the coat tightly, like it was the only thing keeping her steady. Then Cole mounted his horse and turned away from the town. The crowd watched as the two of them left slowly, disappearing into the dusty road outside Red Hollow. No one spoke for a long time. Only one question remained in everyone's mind. Who was she? And why did Cole Matthews decide to help her? And in that quiet town, something unknown had already begun to change. The ride from Red Hollow to Cole Matthews' ranch was long and quiet. The dusty road stretched through open land, where dry grass moved gently in the wind. The sky was turning orange as the sun slowly dropped behind the hills. The young woman sat on the horse behind Cole, holding tightly to his coat. She did not speak. Her body was still shaking. not just from fear, but from exhaustion. Every sound around her made her nervous. Even the wind felt strange to her, like it carried memories she wanted to forget. Cole rode in silence. He did not ask her questions. He did not look back often. His focus stayed on the road ahead. But he was aware of her condition. He could feel how weak she was, how every moment of this journey was a struggle for her. Most people in Red Hollow knew Cole Matthews as a man who stayed away from trouble. He ran his ranch alone, worked hard, and kept his life private. He did not involve himself in town matters, and he rarely trusted strangers. But today was different. Even he could not fully explain why he stopped when he saw her in the street. It was not planned. It was not logical. It was something instinctive, like he could not ignore her pain. As they traveled farther from town, the woman finally spoke again, her voice very soft. "Where are you taking me?" Cole kept his eyes forward and replied calmly, "My ranch." The woman went quiet again. The word ranch did not make her feel safe immediately. She had learned not to trust places easily, but she also had no strength left to argue or run. After a while, the ranch came into view. It was large but simple. Wooden fences surrounded open land. A barn stood near the center, and a small house sat a little further away. It was quiet here. No crowd, no staring eyes. Only open space and wind. Cole guided the horse to a stop near the house. He got down first, then carefully helped the woman down. Her legs felt weak when she touched the ground. She almost fell, but Cole steadied her without saying a word. For a moment, she just stood there, looking around. "This place is yours?" she asked. "Yes," Cole answered. She looked uncertain, as if she was trying to understand why he had brought her here. Cole walked toward the house door. After a few steps, he paused and said, "You can rest here. No one will bother you." The woman hesitated. "Why, are you helping me?" It was a simple question, but it carried deep emotion. She was not used to kindness without conditions. In her experience, help always came with questions, demands, or judgment. Cole turned slightly, looking at her for the first time since they left town. "Because you needed it," he said. That was all. No long explanation, no expectations. He opened the door of the house and stepped inside, leaving it open for her to follow if she wanted. The woman stood outside for a moment, unsure. The ranch was quiet, too quiet for someone who had been running from fear. But something about Cole's calm presence made her feel slightly less afraid. Finally, she walked inside. The house was simple. A wooden table, a few chairs, and a small fireplace. It was clean, but not fancy. It felt lived in, not empty. Cole pointed toward a room. "You can stay there," he said. The woman slowly walked toward the room. Before she entered, she stopped and looked back. "Thank you," she whispered. Cole only nodded once. That night, the ranch was silent. Cole stayed outside for a long time, checking the fences and feeding the horses. The sky became dark, and stars slowly appeared. But his mind was not fully at peace. He kept thinking about the woman, about her fear, about the way she said, "Don't look at me like that." Those words stayed with him. Inside the house, the woman lay on the bed, still wearing his coat. For the first time in many days, she felt slightly safe. But sleep did not come easily. Every small sound made her tense. She kept remembering the way people stared at her in Red Hollow. She did not know what would happen next. She did not know if this rancher was truly kind, or if this was just another place where she would be judged later. Outside, Cole stood under the night sky. The wind moved gently across the land. The ranch was peaceful, but something inside him felt unsettled. He knew one thing clearly. This was not just a random encounter. The woman's arrival in Red Hollow and his decision to bring her here was going to change something bigger than either of them understood yet. The night at Cole Matthews' ranch was calm, but inside the small house, peace did not come easily. The young woman lay on the bed in the small room Cole had given her. The room was simple, with a wooden bed, a small window, and a single lamp that gave a soft yellow light. Outside, the wind moved gently across the open land, brushing against the wooden walls. But inside her mind, there was no calm. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw faces from the past. People staring at her, people whispering, people judging her without asking a single question. She turned slightly on the bed, pulling the blanket closer to herself. Cole's coat was still around her shoulders. It gave her warmth, but it could not remove the fear completely. Her name was Clara, and she had not always lived like this. A few days ago, Clara had been in another town, trying to find help. But instead of help, she found accusations. A powerful man had blamed her for stealing important land papers. He was respected in that town, and people believed him easily. No one listened to Clara. No one asked for her side of the story. She tried to explain, but her voice was ignored. Soon, she was treated like a criminal. People looked at her like she was dangerous. Some even followed her to make sure she did not escape. That was when she ran. She ran without a plan, without food, and without knowing where to go. And she ended up in Red Hollow. The memory made her chest tighten. Back at the ranch house, Clara slowly sat up in bed. The silence around her felt heavy. She could hear distant sounds, horses moving outside, wind brushing the grass, and the faint crackle of wood in the fence. She stood up carefully and walked toward the window. Outside, she saw Cole Matthews. He was near the barn, fixing a broken fence. He worked quietly, without rushing. The lantern light near him flickered slightly in the wind. He looked strong, focused, and calm. Clara watched him for a long time. She had seen many men before, but none like him. Most people she met were quick to judge her, but Cole had not asked her anything. He had not demanded answers. He had simply brought her here and given her shelter. Still, she did not fully trust it. She whispered to herself, "Why would he help me? Without wanting something in return?" That question stayed in her mind. The next morning, the sun rose over the ranch, painting the land in soft golden light. Cole was already outside working. Clara slowly stepped out of the house, still unsure of what to do. Cole noticed her, but did not say anything immediately. He continued working for a few moments, then finally spoke. "You should eat something," he said calmly. Clara hesitated. "I don't want to be a burden." "You're not," Cole replied simply. He walked toward the house and brought out a small plate of food. Bread, eggs, and water. Nothing fancy, but enough. Clara took it slowly and sat on the porch steps. She began eating quietly. Cole stood nearby, leaning on a wooden post, watching the land. For a while, neither of them spoke. Then Clara finally asked again, softly, "Why are you doing this?" Cole looked at her for a moment. His expression was calm, but serious. "Because I know what it looks like when someone is treated unfairly," he said. Clara paused. She did not expect that answer. Cole continued, his voice steady. "People here think they know the truth just by looking at someone, but they don't always ask the right questions." Clara lowered her eyes. Those words felt too close to her own experience. For the first time, she felt like someone understood even a small part of what she had been through. But later that day, something unexpected happened. A rider appeared on the road leading to the ranch. Cole noticed it first. His posture changed slightly, becoming more alert. Clara also saw the rider and felt a wave of fear return. The rider stopped at the fence. He was a man from Red Hollow. He called out, "Matthews, there's talk in town. People are asking about the girl you brought." Clara's heart sank. Cole walked forward calmly. "What kind of talk?" The man hesitated. "They say she is dangerous, that she stole from someone important. People are nervous." Clara stepped back slightly, her fear returning instantly. But Cole's expression did not change. He replied firmly, "She is staying here. That's all anyone needs to know." The rider looked unsure, but finally turned and left. Silence returned to the ranch, but it felt heavier now. Clara looked at Cole, her voice shaking. "They won't stop looking for me." Cole turned toward her. "Then we will deal with the truth," he said. That moment changed something. Because Clara realized this was no longer just about hiding. It was about facing what she had been running from. And Cole Matthews had already decided he would not turn away. The morning air at Cole Matthews' ranch felt different after the rider from Red Hollow left. The silence was still there, but it was no longer peaceful. It felt heavy, like something was waiting to happen. Clara stood near the porch, watching the empty road. Her mind was full of fear again. She had tried to escape judgment once, but it seemed like it had followed her even here. Her hands were cold, and her thoughts were restless. Cole was nearby, preparing his horse. He moved with calm purpose, like he had already made a decision long before the morning began. Clara noticed it and felt uneasy. "You're leaving?" she asked softly. Cole tightened the saddle strap. "Yes," he said simply. Clara stepped forward. "If you go to town, they will question you. They will think I am guilty." Cole looked at her for a moment. His expression was steady. "Let them question," he replied. That was all he said. He mounted his horse and paused. Before leaving, he added, "Stay here. You are safe on this land." Then he rode out. Clara watched him disappear into the distance, feeling a strange mix of hope and fear. She did not know what he planned, but she could feel that something big was coming. By the time Cole Matthews entered Red Hollow, the town was already restless. People had been talking for days. Rumors spread faster than truth in a small place like this. Some said the girl was a thief. Others said she was dangerous. A few even said Cole had made a mistake by bringing her to his ranch. When Cole rode down the main street, conversations slowly stopped. People watched him carefully. They were not used to seeing him come into town with such seriousness. He stopped in front of the sheriff's office and dismounted. Inside, Sheriff Lane stepped out. "Cole Matthews," the sheriff said. "People have been asking questions about you." Cole did not waste time. "Then I have answers." He reached into his coat and pulled out a small bundle of papers. He handed them over. "These are land records from the county office in the next town," Cole said. "They show the truth about the accusation against Clara." The sheriff frowned and began reading. Cole continued. "The woman didn't steal anything. The documents were falsified. Someone used her name to hide their own crime." A few townspeople who had gathered outside began whispering loudly. "This can't be true," one man said. "She looked guilty," said another. Cole turned toward the crowd. "You judged her without proof," he said firmly. "That is not justice. That is fear." The crowd fell silent again. The sheriff kept reading. Slowly, his expression changed. The documents were real. The signatures matched official records. The truth was undeniable. After a long pause, the sheriff finally said, "These papers show tampering. Serious tampering." A shock ran through the crowd. Cole stepped forward. "Then you know what that means. Clara is not the criminal. Someone in this town tried to cover their own actions by blaming her." People began to look around at each other. The confidence they had before started to break. Cole continued, his voice calm but strong. "Before you judge someone, you should know the truth, not rumors.